ASSA have mutual recognition agreements with other actuarial associations around the world, then the fact that our syllabus here is compliant with the IAA syllabus is then, a benchmarking mechanism. And then it means that we can also, again, share about how, for example, in the field of data science, the curriculum is being developed in different countries around the world.
Exactly, because there's a subject on data analytics that is likely to be built. It's going to be introduced very soon.
And of course, we've led the way. I mean, banking is a great example of where South Africa has actually led the way, and through our role in the in the banking forum of the IAA. It's the South African banking subject which is being adopted by many countries around the world. So
incredible.
Yeah.
It's incredible. I think I have sort of two last questions for you. The first one being, how have you seen the role of the actuary change from when you first engaged with it as a profession and now as a very well recognized professional in that space?
Yeah, it's an interesting question because I've been thinking about this in the context of, the debates around AI and how it's transforming actuarial practice. And as I understand it, I'm not that old that Excel wasn't around. But I do remember the monumental moment when we were able to have more than 64,000 lines in Excel. But so as I understand it, even then there was the debate, well, now that there's spreadsheets, do people still need actuaries? And of course, when you say that now, it seems a bit silly. Well, it's just a tool for actuaries. It helps us to do our calculations a bit faster. And in a way, to me, that's kind of where AI comes in. So we need to be able to understand what needs to happen. We need to look at problems, and we need to sort of diagnose what has to happen and sort of develop the analysis that's required. But we don't actually have to do it. Yeah. So it's that shift from being technicians to really being problem solvers, and very importantly, translating those solutions into something that is relevant to the people who are affected by it. And that's why I think this moving from being sort of calculators into problem solvers is kind of just taken to a whole new level as the toolkit that we have access to expands. Yeah. And so in a way, what we as a profession need to be doing is to be honing that skill of being able to adapt the analysis into something that is useful and valuable, that we're not just spitting out answers, but that we're actually able to be providing the advice, exercising the judgment, and determining what's relevant. Yeah. Because that's always our challenge with big data, right? Yeah. I mean, big data is great, but only if it's useful, only if it's
relevant. Yeah.
Yes, if it's useful and relevant, and we're the ones with the skills to be able to say yes. There's a lot of data here, but actually it's pretty meaningless. Yeah. Or there's a lot of data here and we can extract meaning from it, which actually is useful and applicable. And we have the tools to be able to test that.
I think my last question naturally actually flows from that is, what advice would you give to an aspiring actuary? I think a lot of our listeners are either at uni or just finished uni. And so they're very much at the beginning of this whole journey, and maybe feeling a bit tentative about AI and their role in the world. What sort of, what advice would you give them as they start this journey?
Well, obviously, I mean, don't underestimate yourself, because this is a very hard course, and people sort of battle their way through university, and you come out of it feeling pretty sort of war weary, and because you're engaging, with your classmates every day. You tend to sort of underestimate yourself. Don't underestimate yourself. Particularly if you've graduated with a degree in actuarial science, it's an amazing achievement. Yeah. And you are someone with a lot of skills to give to the world. And so perhaps then, instead of thinking of yourself as a technician, be thinking of yourself as a problem solver. Yeah. And that you need to understand context well to be able to solve those problems well with the skills that we have. So I would suggest making sure that you don't just keep a narrow focus in terms of technical skills, but make sure you're understanding that social context and read widely and understand how, you know, the people who you are solving problems for are thinking about those problems. You know, it's often really helpful to be thinking, to be putting yourselves in the shoes of the people that we're solving problems for.
Who are impacted by the decisions that you make.
Yeah. I mean, we did an exercise the other day where talking about developing products for low-income earners, of saying, well, you know, if you had this kind of monthly budget, how would you spend it?
Sure.
And, you know, really trying to put yourself in those shoes and saying, well, you know, you think about insurance, for example, or financial services products very differently.
No, it doesn't even right?
When you're thinking about how to keep a roof over your head and food on the table.
Yeah.
So I think don't lose touch with that, with trying to listen and make sure that we do have that context, particularly because I think for us as a profession, we have so much we can add to addressing inequality here in South Africa. There's so much for us to do, and we need to be careful that we're not solving those problems from a distance. We need to be solving them on the ground, as it were.
Yeah, I think also, I mean, from what I'm hearing is that we need to also be teachable. Yes. And be open to learning, because you won't understand every context.
And then we can blend those learnings in with the amazing skills and vision that we have, because we have a way of seeing problems and seeing our way through those problems. That's our superpower, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Is that we can see our way, when we can translate problems into the frameworks that we have. Then we can see our way through those problems. But very often we need to, as you say, we need to listen and blend those needs in with the solutions that we're driving.
Very much so. This was such an interesting discussion. Thank you, Roseanne.
Pleasure.
To our listeners, no, not at all. To our listeners, thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you on the next episode. Goodbye. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and leave a review on your preferred streaming platform. If you'd like to interact with us more or add questions or topics to our pool of ideas, please follow our Instagram page at ASForActuary or email us on asforactuary@gmail.com. Thank you for listening. Take care.